Fam, go right ahead. You put this up. Kevin McCarthy, what about him?
No, it's not about him. It's about Ilhan.
It's about his asshole.
So he posted this video of Ilhan Omar. Ilhan basically said that she wants to dismantle the systems of oppression. Now, there are many reactions to this. I, for one, think what she said, there's nothing wrong with what she said. I do think there's valid criticism from the left that we're going to be discussing. But I think my issue was a lot of the criticism that was coming towards her was riddled in racist, Islamophobic insults to her. And that has been since she's been in Congress. You know, that's nothing new. She's always been like that. But basically, we're going to show how, like, what are actual criticisms that are valid, and then what are the ones that it's like, you're literally talking nonsense. And it's not because I don't like their ideology. It's because it doesn't make any sense. So yesterday, Basement Biden said he wants to transform America. Today, a House Democrat said she wants to dismantle our entire system. The Democratic Party has given up on America. All they want to do is tear it down. Okay, first of all, Biden is a Republican, so Biden isn't going to do shit. Second of all, the only people that want to tear this down and rebuild are actual, like, anarcho-commie lefty people that we would love for this whole thing to come down so we can rebuild. But at the very least, the majority of things people want are to change the systems that are affecting people and are keeping us in a form of I don't want to say slavery, but it is like a form of servitude to this system where, you know, you can't get sick because you don't have health care. You can't work because of COVID, but if you are forced to work, then you're making less money than you were before because of all the things going on. The government isn't helping you. The police are out there killing people. They completely need to be demilitarized. Then we have a military industrial complex that's going around the world trying to, like, imperialize everybody for the United States, the corporation of the United States. Corporations have more rights than people. I mean, I could go on and on about everything that's wrong. Those are the systems that I think the majority of people want to get rid of and build something better. That's the same sentiment of defunding the police and all this stuff. Now, what the right has done is frame this in a way that is that just doesn't make sense. So first, I want to hear what Ilhan said, and then we can go into the Tucker Carlson thing.
As long as our economy and political systems prioritize profit without considering who is profiting, who is being shut out, we will perpetuate this inequality. So we cannot stop at criminal justice system. We must begin the work of dismantling the whole system of oppression wherever we find it.
Okay, so I 100% agree with her. I mean, I think she's right. And I think it's wise to say we don't just need to stop at police brutality. We need to talk about the economics of it, because that is the turn that I'm seeing on the protest. Okay, so let's hear what Tucker Carlson said. And, you know, Tucker Carlson has made some valid points in the past. That doesn't change the fact that I think he's a vile person. But let's hear what he has to say.
So last night we played you long clips from the president's recent address at Mount Rushmore. It may have been the best speech Donald Trump has ever given. It was succinct and clear, and it was true. And for all of those reasons, the Democratic Party and its many minions absolutely hated it. They denounced the speech, and this may not come as a complete surprise to you, as, quote, racist. Now, that's a slur long divorced from any actual meaning, but we should tell you that as a factual matter, it's a lie. There was nothing even conceivably racist about Trump's speech. Go watch it for yourself. There's not a racist word or idea in the whole thing. The only time Trump even brought up the Civil War was to praise Abraham Lincoln, who, thank God, won it. He never mentioned the Confederacy or anyone in the Confederacy. Instead, Trump praised unabashed American heroes like George Washington, Clara Barton, the Wright brothers, Jackie Robinson. Senator Tammy Duckworth of Illinois watched Trump's speech, or claims she did. Her summary of it, quote, he spent all his time talking about dead traitors. George Washington, Clara Barton, Jackie Robinson, they are all, according to Tammy Duckworth, dead traitors. Pretty shocking. In case you think we're being unfair here, in the same interview, in the Democratic Party right now, it's everywhere. Turn on the TV. Here's Congresswoman Ilhan Omar just today. And if anyone should love America, it's Ilhan Omar. This country rescued her from a squalid Kenyan refugee camp and made her a national figure, quite an ascent. But Ilhan Omar is not grateful. She hates us for it. Watch Omar tell us it is time to dismantle our country.
Okay, so you can stop it there.
As long as our economy.
So my problem with this this sentiment, and there are a couple of other examples that we have down there, right here, is that they're super focused, and we don't have to watch the whole thing again, but this person, Lacey Johnson, said they want to dismantle everything that's good in America. She called for dismantling the U.S. economy and political systems. And then the next person also said, Dave Rubin, is this not a violation of her oath of office? Is anyone in charge here anymore? Okay. So the reason it's so important to point all this shit out is because there are valid criticisms of Ilhan Omar that we're going to go into in a minute. But this is not one of them. Turning it around into this oh, she wants to destroy America is it's disingenuous, and it literally perpetuates the whole, we have to hate Ilhan Omar if we're on the right because she's saying she wants to get rid of America. That's not what she's saying. That's not a fair argument. That's not what she's saying. She's literally talking about specific things that are wrong in the United States. She's not at all saying we need to destroy America and I'm going to come for your guns or all this other bullshit that's being said. It's important to point that out, because if we don't point that out, then when I criticize Ilhan Omar or when he criticizes Ilhan Omar, then that criticism, it comes on deaf ears because they're going to call me a Republican or call me a whatever. So we're going to show you exactly what is a valid criticism of Ilhan Omar.
Yes, first of all, somebody's saying Gloria La Riva Leonard Peltier 2020. Thank you for the super chat contribution. Well, I mean, I also want to point out too, fam, the fact that Ilhan Omar was my favorite squad member by far. When she went after AIPAC, the bling bling thing, I thought it was amazing. I really did. But I did put up a tweet because there are many things that have happened. And, listen, if you want to take down the walls of oppression, if you want to take down the imperialist ways, if you want to take down the system, you have to start with doing the biggest roadblock to those progressive policies, and that is the Democratic Party. You just can't pick and choose, in my personal opinion, about who you want to, say is awful and who's bad. And Ilhan Omar has been silent on certain things that I've totally disagreed. She has voiced her opinions about things I disagree on. So I put up a tweet the other day, and it says, to all the Democratic House members who want to grandstand and talk about dismantling the oppressive systems in our country, start with your own party. You know damn well nothing will change until the leadership change. Speak out against imperialism and stop kissing up to Nancy Pelosi. So I do have a distrust for Ilhan. And like I said before, she was my favorite squad member by far. But there were certain things that happened after happened. And I'm not talking about her dislike for Tulsi. That really didn't bother me. It really did not whatsoever. It was other issues that really pissed me off. In particular, this just recently is when I saw this article, and it says Ilhan Omar says she believes in Tara Reade but will still vote for Joe Biden against Donald Trump. I mean, I'm gone. I'm out the door. I don't know what to tell you right there. But you can't just take your corruption calendar and go after who you want when you want. It seems like these Democrats are only going to go after Republicans or Donald Trump, and I ain't down with that, because the Democratic Party is a sneaky, sneaky party. And they're the reasons why there's so many oppressive systems up, because they haven't been on our side to take them down. Also, Ilhan Omar's shameful Armenian genocide statement. She went and met with Erdogan, all right? Nobody ever talks about that. She was the only Democrat to go vote present. This is not where you want to vote present when it comes to the genocide of the Armenian people. It was a bullshit thing, and it makes me think that she has some history rooted in her that won't allow her to think past these things geopolitically. And if you can't think geopolitically, then you're not going to be able to take down the real oppressors. That's my personal opinion. And these are reasons why I don't believe in what she said. And even though her statement was spot on, it was, fam. I can't even argue it. The way she talked about these things, and I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, what is she talking about? She's ruining our institutions." I don't trust her. I believe in institutions, but our institutions are so tainted because it's not bringing down the institutions. It's bringing down the people who run those institutions. And my point is, the Democrats are just as guilty as the Republicans. And if you make a statement and you're rushing about the bounty thing, but you don't say anything, I check both your Twitters, Congresswoman. and you say nothing about the fact that we could have ended the Afghan war and you didn't stand up against the people who are really oppressed, then I don't want to hear it. Walking papers. So that is my valid criticism of Ilhan Omar. Obviously, fam, too, the people, the way they attack her, and there are so many people, the way they've always attacked, and those people, I don't care. They don't have valid criticisms of Ilhan Omar, those people who attacked her because of her religion, about where she comes from. You know what I'm saying? And to say she hates America, I just disagree completely. She doesn't hate America. She hates the people who are running America.
Ilhan Omar is only mildly speaking some of the things that I would want somebody to actually speak and act on. And I think it's important that she said that, though, because nobody has said that, really. Like in Congress, nobody has said it. I think it's also important what Pasta pointed out, that she walks a walk, because if she doesn't walk the walk, then what's the point? I think she can be good on one issue and bad on other issues. There are other things she has done in Congress that I really liked, foreign policy wise, that have been decent. Even though there are some things I disagree with her on. So I think she could have multiple takes that I agree or disagree with. That's not it. The point is that as long as you're under the Democratic Party, it's going to be very difficult. Again, this is why it's just so hard for me to get behind Democratic candidates, because at this point they're going to face the same obstacles she faced. And, we can all just hope that they're going to do something different. But at the end of the day, they have to respond to Nancy Pelosi. That's what they feel they have to do. I would like to see someone in there and say, no, F you, Nancy Pelosi. I'm going to do what I want. I'm going to get these people behind me. I'm going to use the power of the people to propel me. That would be great. But now that she has said this, though, now that she said she wants to dismantle not just the criminal justice system, but also other systems of oppression, now that she said this, you all have the right to be like, well, okay, since you want to do that, you better do this, you better do that, push this legislation and that legislation, because now her words are out there. She has said something pretty specific that she wants to do, and then you can go and say, okay, well, if you don't do that, then that's it. Like, now she's put herself in a position where if she doesn't do that, she can get a lot of backlash from the left. And I think that's what's important, that there are people criticizing her from the left constructively, saying, we want you to walk the walk and not just
talk.
Not just say good words, because it all sounds great, but I want to see that in action. How are you planning on doing that with Nancy Pelosi there? Yeah. And she's still my favorite member of the squad. I feel like she has been more opposing to Nancy Pelosi than some of the other members. So we'll see what happens. I'm not just saying, okay, great, now everything's good. But I think it's important that she said it. It's also important that there are the right criticisms coming in, saying, okay, well, are you going to do this, and that? Because if we just get stuck on criticizing her because we don't agree with her religion, what the hell is, what does that do for anybody? Yeah. So
I mean, also too, that Armenian genocide vote, a lot of people were really turned off by that.
Yeah.
That was a really screwed up thing to do and stuff. I mean, can you imagine had she denied the Holocaust?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
No, but you read why she did that vote, right? You read her statement?
Yeah.
She said it was because they weren't recognizing the Native American genocide and everything else like that. So that's interesting. I don't know.
I mean, that's...
Yeah, but she's also met with Erdogan, you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, there's a lot more to it and stuff like that. The Ottoman Empire rebuilt, you know what I'm saying? She's always kind of been anti-Assad.
That she met Erdogan? What does that mean?
I mean...
What is that? What are you saying with that?
Well, I mean, it's just kind of...
What point are you trying to prove
It's suspicious, though. I mean, the fact is that we're going to be very critical of Tulsi going to meet Assad, or anybody going to meet any leader when you're going to meet Erdogan. Erdogan, I don't like at all. Erdogan is one of the worst. I hate him, period. So I don't know what they talked about, but the fact that you go to meet Erdogan and then you vote that way, and your excuse is because we didn't recognize the Native Americans, it's suspicious. You know what I'm saying? Because once again, the Armenian genocide was a genocide from the Turks. So the fact that you're meeting him and then you're voting that way, it's very suspicious. That's all I'm saying. I wasn't in the room with them, but it's cause for concern, Now,
I want to say also, it's important to not just focus on that small clip, but watch her whole statement on this, which was failed to be done. So let's watch this.
And everyone who has been doing everything that they can to make sure that the George Floyd's death does not go in vain. Right now in Congress, the Senate is sitting on a comprehensive bill to transform criminal justice and the policing system. All along with the Congressional Black Caucus, I helped lead the George Floyd Justice in Policing Act. And because of Mitch McConnell and Donald Trump, it's being ignored. I guess the president would rather attack the people who are protesting than actually address the issues people are out here protesting for. And as my colleagues here will tell you, we are seeing the same here in Minnesota. Democrats in the State House have passed a bold package that meaningfully addresses police violence in our state, not only to be stonewalled by Republicans who would rather skip town than protect Black lives. But we can't stop at criminal justice reform, or policing reform for that matter. We are not merely fighting to tear down the systems of oppression in the criminal justice system. We are fighting to tear down systems of oppression that exist in housing, in education, in healthcare, in employment, in the air we breathe. In America today, white families have 42% times more wealth than Black families. When we say housing is a human right, we need to guarantee homes for all. When we are speaking to the fact that home ownership rates are nearly twice as high for white families as they are for Black families. Here in Minnesota, it's triple, and people of color are more likely to face eviction and homelessness. When we introduced the Zero Waste Act or a Green New Deal, it is because we know that environmental racism is real. Whether it's living near incinerators in North Minneapolis, proximity to power plants and factories, higher exposure to emission from polluting, the disproportionate harm that disasters like Hurricane Katrina cause to Black communities, even access to basics like clean water, we are bearing the brunt of that environmental catastrophe. When we say healthcare is a human right and that every American deserves free healthcare, we are speaking to the fact that Black Minnesotans are more than 50% more likely to be uninsured than white Minnesotans. When America gets a cold, Black Americans get pneumonia. Our communities are the ones that are bearing the burden of the coronavirus more than any other. People of color make up this disproportionate share of low-wage essential workers who have had to keep working in food production plants, grocery stores, and other workplaces despite the risk to their lives. We've also faced higher rates of joblessness to the coronavirus crisis, while also suffering racialized police brutality and militarization. The mortality rate for Black Minnesotans to COVID is twice as high as it is with other races. And for me, this is very personal because I lost my own father to the coronavirus. I see the pain and the havoc it's wreaking on Black communities in Minneapolis. We must recognize that these systems of oppression are linked. As long as our economy and political systems prioritize profit without considering who is profiting, who is being shut out, we will perpetuate this inequality. So we cannot stop at criminal justice system. We must begin the work of dismantling the whole system of oppression wherever we find it. And so with that, I will have Senator
So that was her entire statement. So there was a lot there that we didn't discuss.
She was very specific. That's what I'm saying. Like she's very specific, and she was talking about other things, which is an extremely important statement to make because that's what we've all been wanting.
I didn't know she lost her father to coronavirus either.
Yeah, she did recently. He passed away, and so what I wanted to get to is it's important she even said that because the general strike movement, that's what she's talking about essentially. She's talking about healthcare for all, housing is a human right. but redoing the whole police system. Obviously there is the whole police brutality thing has taken a partisan issue. A lot of Republicans have been completely against it. A lot of Democrats have been for it. However, how much these Democrats are for it and what they're trying to do and how they're trying to manipulate, it's something worth noting as well. That is something that I think we need to continue pointing out, because a lot of these people are going to say, oh yeah, I support Black Lives Matter, but they're not going to do anything legislatively to really continue that. So while the Republicans might be outright in their opposition, there are some Democrats in there that are opposing to any sort of defunding or the police in any way, shape, or form, but they just say like they support BLM. And so that's what we have to watch out for, I think, with the Democratic Party, because the Republican Party, we know like outright, like they're very upfront about how they feel about those issues, but Democrats, not so much.
Yeah, and I'd be interested to see what the legislation that she introduced and what it says in there, and what she's been working on, so then we can see how exactly she is trying to fight these oppressive systems.
Right, because if you're not gonna, if you're just gonna reform
research for this,
but if you're gonna reform, if you're just gonna reform the police, like it's not.
We don't know if she's reforming the police or not. I don't know what's in the legislation.
But that's what I'm saying. Like it's dependent on. She's not gonna be able to get something like defunding the police on a federal level. I mean, it's just with both houses of led by Republicans, she's not going to be able to do it. It's just not going to happen.
You see like 75% of the bills that kind of get put up there half the time too as well. They're just, symbolic, and they're really not specific to anything in particular that really can move the ball. Her state legislation, I'd like to see what they're getting going over there. But anyways, fam, who is this here?
So this is her daughter. So if you guys don't follow Ilhan Omar's daughter, she's actually like far to the left of Ilhan, and she's a Gen Z. And if you just take a look at her tweets, she said, I didn't know my mom was a comrade. And it's just funny because now people are calling Ilhan Omar a Marxist and the Marxist comrades and threatening our democracy. I wish Ilhan Omar was a Marxist comrade. But if you go to her daughter's tweets, I'm 17 and I hate capitalism. Like right away, and she has some fire tweets, and she just says she's just wise beyond her ears, and she's just literally like, I want her to run for office. Like she just gets it, and just I don't know. Ilhan Omar would do what she needs to do right now is understand foreign policy better, listen to her daughter, focus on freedom of speech and protections for people like Julian Assange. That's been one of her criticisms, that she really hasn't at all. And walk the walk on this, because I just think like she could potentially be a force in there if she stands up to people like Nancy Pelosi. Maybe it's going to take us having more of our people in there. I don't know, but I just don't see that whole thing. Like they're still trying to play ball with Nancy Pelosi. They're still trying to play ball with the Democrats. So I think it's valid criticism to be suspect of everybody at this point, but I will give her points for saying that, because I think the things she said are important, and at least she's saying them, because I haven't seen anybody else get out there on a microphone and talk about like any of this stuff and use those words, tear down these systems. That is what's bothering a lot of people. The language, tear down the systems, you want to tear it down. Yeah, we freaking do. We need to. Like, it's not working. You need to, like, other countries have had how many constitutions? Like, hello, we're still in the same constitution. We haven't even, we haven't done anything like that. This country hasn't really had a revolution like that, while other countries have. And so we are still a young country, and it's just, we need to get used to that. Just because she means tear down doesn't mean she means the United States isn't going to exist. So
yeah, I mean, it's not like they've had any type of serious legislation come forth for working people since the late 1970s, the Democratic Party. They abandoned laborers a long time ago, and they went with all these capitalists who are, neoconservative. I'm going to say neoconservative when it comes to foreign policy, but they're neoliberal when it comes to the market. So on these surface type of bills, you want to get real systemic change. Let's real. You want to get rid of the oppressiveness. You got to get real systemic change. Get an infrastructure bill. Get it going. And the all wars bill. Pull out. How about you get a bill and you propose a bill that eliminates half of our military bases across the world? How about you get an infrastructure bill? That's what I'm saying. When Donald Trump became president, I had a dream that Bernie Sanders would go to him and say, now you listen up. You're going to give me an infrastructure bill. We're going to bring people home from these wars and we're going to put them to work and rebuild our country. We need a real bill with real teeth. Not just throwing shit out there that's really not going to have any backbone, really not getting anything
But either
done.
way,
we want real systemic
it's not going to
change.
pass in the current system we're in. It's just the Republicans aren't going to pass it. The neoliberals aren't going to pass it.
And it's especially not going to pass when everybody's silent on war and everybody's silent on what happened last week. We had a historic chance to end a 20-year war, and everybody was silent on it. So really, what do you really want to do? You don't want to do shit. That's my personal opinion. If you're not speaking out about that, but then you're still perpetuating Russiagate narratives, you're part of the problem, right? No, I shouldn't say that. Carrie Mark, package legislation is like voting for the lesser of evil. Thank you for the Super Chat contribution.
What do you mean by that? You mean
when like someone puts an amendment, like the bill's about something, and then they put an amendment, to stop the Afghanistan war, right?
Right.
Then,
but that's what they do all the time.
Yeah.
Like
because you can't get it.
You can't get it on its own. That's the thing.
That's the thing.
That's the whole thing. The system
no, but
is all
here's the
completely
thing.
fucked.
When's the last time they fucking pull? Oh, sorry, I'm the mom for cursing. When's the last time they said we want this? Let's pass it. You have a Democratic House. You pass it, or you make the establishment go on record for not passing that stuff. You know what I'm saying? And you stand your ground. You have the biggest microphone right now. Get a specific bill that you want to pass that's going to be good for everybody.
We have Republicans as Democrats. That's the problem. And they vote in line with Trump.
That's the problem. They give him what he wants. And it was like the crime bill, right? When they went after Bernie Sanders for voting for the crime bill. Why? Because it had a ban on assault weapons in there. So no matter what, he wanted to get that ban on assault weapons.
Well, not just assault weapons. It was the also the protections against women.
Women's Act, that too as well.
Yeah.
So I'm saying, but lumped in with it was all this other crap.
Yeah, he eventually voted for. I mean, a lot of people need to understand too. Like, I'm not trying to be an asshole, but like it's really easy to criticize a lot of these people. But like, you do have to realize like they were there when. Like Bernie Sanders was like one of the lone people while he was in Congress. I mean, there are things like that I think a lot of people criticizing would do that they don't think they would do now, because there is a system that's there and they force you to do it. This is why, again, the Democratic Party, what's the point? Like, they are going to force you to vote for something you don't want to vote. Otherwise, what are you going to do? You're not going to do anything. So it's kind of like this game that they have to play of give and take. Okay, I have to vote for this, but I won't vote for this. And it sucks. Like, I wouldn't want to play those games. I wouldn't want to be in the Democratic Party, period, because it's like, then I have to like make concessions on things that I don't want to morally make concessions on. So.
Yeah. Well, we need answers. We need answers.